This is not going to be an opportunity for folks to take advantage of people. If you think you're going to go in and loot, you got another thing coming. You go into somebody's house after the storm passes, think that you're going to be able to commit crimes. You're going to get in really serious trouble, and quite frankly, you don't know what's behind that door in a Second Amendment state. So do not try to take advantage of people who are suffering because of the results of this storm. That goes for Helene continually, but then of course that will be the case for Milton. I know we've already brought a lot of people, held people accountable in post-Helene, and we will be very swift across all levels of government to throw the book at people. And of course, when you make these bad decisions, you're opening yourself up to response from property owners who may be inside that house.
That was Governor Ron DeSantis basically saying, yeah, don't come here and loot. You're going to have a bad time if you do. And the government may not be the one who's doing the bad time to you. Florida is often touted as the gunshine state. It's actually considerably more centrist when it comes to their Second Amendment stances than a lot of other locales in the United States. So I'll give them a 7 out of 10 on their Second Amendment score, arbitrary score from me, right? But it is good to see leaders going out there and discouraging this behavior by saying, hey, not only do you have to avoid the police, but you might meet a rifle on the other end of that door as well. Don't go into people's homes. Do not loot. Now, also, there have been a few things that I've seen published across the interweb, and one of them we're going to cover today is actually from Fox News, which is actually halfway decent. It is a guide to how to discourage looting on your property. Now, this is pretty thin, but I'm going to give them credit because you got to remember, this is for a Fox News program. Consumers of mainstream media programs on a regular basis are systemically ill-informed, and when they do get informed, usually they are informed late. So I have a little experiment going on consistently. I see my dad most days, and I probe to see where he's at on current events, and unless it's like imminently important or a disaster or something like that, usually he's about 2 days behind on media cycle. So you got to remember that this thing that Fox put together is for normies. So if you know a normie and would like to augment their understanding of the situation, then please, by all means, send them this video. So I'm going to go over what Fox News said without stealing their thunder, basically. And then I've got some augments to what they said, both some things that you should do and some things that you should absolutely avoid when it comes to making your place look less looty, so to speak. That and more after we hear a quick word from today's sponsor. Today's video is brought to you by First Form. First Form is a pro-American, pro-freedom supplement company. You probably eat way too much crap and not enough protein. So First Form's mission is to put more protein in your face hole. Now, the thing that I've been using a whole lot lately are their meat sticks. Now, these things are a 20 gram of protein stick. It doesn't need to be refrigerated. It doesn't have any like weird whey or any stuff like that. It is made out of meat. If you check them out using my link in the link tree or on the affiliates page, and that tells them that I sent you, and that helps out the channel. So special thanks to First Form for making today's video possible. Now, to be clear, this is both an article and a video, so if you want to consume it either way, you can, and I'll have it in the pinned comment down below so you guys can run it down. Again, without stealing their fire, the first thing that Fox suggests is that you make it look like somebody's home. Make it look like your house is occupied. There's a couple different ways you can do this. They suggest leaving the lights on and things like that. There's a couple additional things, in my opinion, that you ought to do that make your house look occupied, or at least if it looks like it might be unoccupied right this second, that it is likely to be occupied here very shortly. Now, in the wake of a hurricane, this is a little bit different of a situation because there's probably debris laying all over the place. But generally speaking, keep your yard mowed. keep your mailbox empty. I have more than one vehicle. I can obviously only be using one of them at any given time, but I play musical cars. Make it look like your house is cared for. If you got a bunch of junk laying around your yard, that is an indicator that you might be a little less careless, or you may not be there on a regular basis. So I understand that, stuff blows down the road and it's not your responsibility to pick up the trash alongside the road. That's not really what we're talking about, unless that trash is finding its way into like your flower beds and things like that. You want to make sure that your house looks well kept and tended. Also, if you got long-term problems with the structural components of your house, if you got like busted up siding on the side of your house, if it hasn't been cleaned in a while, you can rent a power washer or pay somebody. Stuff like that makes it look as though this place is not occupied on a regular basis, or it spends the majority of its time unoccupied, which most homes in the United States are unoccupied most of the time. Think about it. Y'all work, you go places, you do things. Most of the 24 hours of the day, the building usually sits unoccupied. You want to sow disinformation on the people that are likely going to victimize that property. The second thing that Fox News suggests that you do is advertise alarm systems and cameras around your home, even if you don't actually have those things. We'll get to the even if you don't have those things here in a second, but I have often said that the most valuable part of your home security system is the yard sign. When I moved in with my wife and she hadn't put up the security, she had the security system, but she didn't have the yard sign. I was like, this is the most important part of the entire thing. Yes, you want anybody who's passing by to visibly see from the street, if they're thinking about doing something dishonest, they can see, hey, that place might have a security system. These 3 houses on this street have indications that they might have some kind of security. All the rest of them don't. So what you've done is sorted yourself into a different pile automatically just by having an open display of a security system. Now, when it comes to having a security system, we have to understand what a security system is meant to do. The security system is designed to first be a deterrent, as we already talked about, as far as visible signs. But once that deterrency barrier has been breached, what is its purpose? It is designed to limit the amount of time that the assailant might be in your home. So, for instance, my security system is set on a 15-second timer. If you can't get to the keypad in 15 seconds and shut that thing off, it automatically calls the cops. Now, to be clear, as an FFL, I've gotten a little bit of special treatment, and we've done some tests. First, how long does it take them to recognize a signal? It's almost instantaneous after the 15-second thing goes off, and it takes them about 90 seconds to get here. So if you think about that concept, when we apply it specifically to like disaster relief stuff and stuff like that, that aspect of the security system may be a little bit more coarse than it would be during times of normal rule of law type thing. So when you're considering a hurricane bearing down on something, your cops are probably going to be a little bit busy. And that's where the cameras side of things comes in. The third facet of a security system is evidence collection. They say that you can find these cheap fake cameras and stuff like that. Don't do that crap. You can get on Amazon right now and buy super cheap cameras that not only are the physical manifestation of a camera, but also can be accessed from clear around the country. This place is covered in cameras. So I can access any of them from anywhere in the world and see what's going on. They're not that expensive, and to afford a couple cameras, you probably need to eat out 1 or 2 less times that month. Pair that with the solar technology that allows them to remain powered constantly if they're an outdoor camera, and there's really no excuse to not have them on your home if you own your own home at this point in time. Back to the center pillar, which is limiting time. You got to remember that it's not just doors. If they really want in, and we're talking about hurricane damaged homes, most homes are made out of sticks, and you can cut right through the walls. So keep that sort of stuff in mind. You want to make sure that you structure your security system in layers. So not only is it the security system, but think, hey, they've got free reign of this property for a couple minutes. We need to consider the valuables that we leave laying out. I'm not saying that every door in your house needs to be a vault door, but you ought to have really expensive tools under some kind of security. You ought to have really expensive property, like jewelry and things like that. You ought to have it under some kind of additional smash and grab protection within your home. And I understand that now I'm advocating for people to live in a prison. I got it. You have to balance that within your residence and how you're going to handle once they violate the security barrier, what can they get? And that's where the layered primary, secondary, tertiary security measures really come into play. So consider that sort of stuff. The third thing that Fox suggests, which is a fantastic concept, is that you should have some kind of community with your neighbors. And I'm not saying that you need to have like tasks distributed to skill, like disaster preparedness, like you're the weapons guy, you're the food guy, you're in charge of water, and you're in charge of security. We're not talking about that. We're just talking about, hey, Jimmy, what's your work schedule look like? I work night shift. You work day shift. Those kind of conversations where we've got some coverage. Also, humanizing one another. People don't talk anymore, right? Just having a sense that, hey, look, you're not here all the time. I'm not here all the time. When we're here, if we could just sort of pay attention to the environment a little bit. Yeah, this is have them over if they are the type of people that you want to have over, and just kind of form that community that we lack so much, because that little bit of empathy can help protect your property considerably when it comes to somebody who is just going to be incidentally passing through, or if somebody is actually casing the neighborhood for potential criminal activity. So get to know your neighbors, something that is a foreign concept today. And it doesn't have to be all philanthropy and cupcakes and rainbows either. This is also a good way to detect who might be a problem child in your immediate area. The sugar brings out both the honeybees and the yellow jackets. And then the fourth thing, which again, I have to give Fox credit on this, is if you are a gun owner, take a training course and know how to use it. Now, they talk a lot about weapons handling and stuff like that. You got to remember, consider the audience. What I'm going to tell you is that it needs to be a training course that is beyond weapons handling. If you already own a couple guns and they're in, your self-defense calibers, you got your hunting guns, you got your handguns, you got your home defense rifle, stuff like that. You probably don't actually need 40 guns. 40 guns is easily obtainable. I'm just saying that if you've already got like your put the food on the table guns, you got your walking around in public protection guns, and you got your in your house defense guns, you don't need to layer those up immediately. But what might be a better expenditure for the cost of one of those guns, maybe two of those guns, is a legit training course. I'm not talking about your CCW permit type lowest common denominator, like let's just get the permit mill out there type junky training. I'm talking actual training. So personally, I'm very drawn to the tactical response program, but there are plenty of other schools out there that do a fantastic job that you should consider. And as far as budgeting is concerned on your training course, think about that training course's tuition should be about $500, and the course should be about 2 days in length, and you should fire at least 1,000 rounds during that training session, right? I understand that that is a considerable expense, but if you're talking about long-term planning, training is something that they can't take from you. Once it's in your head, it is only your fault if you lose it by not upkeeping that training with practice. So an expenditure now can serve you years into the future versus that fifth AR-15 and 5.56 that does the same thing as all the other ones and has all the same accessories on it. You see what I'm saying? Like, there is a way to more effectively distribute your firearms related expenditures. And one of those that is actually a cost savings thing is to go to a legit training course, understand how you are supposed to practice, not just blow ammo. And trust me, wasting ammunition is a fun pastime of mine. But as far as actual practice for skills development and maintenance, you really should, if you've never had it done, go to a legit training course. They can give you guidance on how to more effectively use that ammunition training budget long term. Now, to be clear, I hope that you never actually have to use the training that you got, but there are some other benefits of the training, of a legit training program, that may not be readily apparent to somebody who is outside of the training circuit. You can project the wrong image and be like, yeah, that guy is armed, but he looks like he'd be really easy to take those guns from. A good example of something that you should absolutely not do is project that you have valuable items like firearms laying around unattended. So those signs in your yard that are marketed regularly that are like, well, you know, due to the cost of ammunition, I can no longer afford a warning shot. I hope that you understand. Those kind of signs that say, yeah, this is a two-way home, are only good when you are actually home. There are ways that people can come to your house and determine that you are not actually home. So those signs are a very bad idea. I see the signs like the National Rifle Association crest in people's vehicle windows. Also, a terrible idea. This is a vehicle that has guns stored in it. Please smash my window and steal it from me. Right? That's an irresponsible thing to do. I hear people talk about truck guns all the time. If you have a truck gun, you must remove the gun from the truck when you get where you are going. I know that we're talking about vehicles now, but your vehicle sits in your driveway and people can observe what is in your driveway. Another thing that you should never have on your vehicles is that, like, baby on board, or, you know, the signs with the stickers with the all the kids, mommy, daddy, and 15 children all across the back. Don't do that stuff. What that tells victimizers is that you might be kind of distracted. Particularly, and I hate to say it this way, if you're female and by yourself, don't do that crap. Good signs are beware of dog signs, but make sure all indicators aren't that it's a little yippy dog. You want people to think that you got a German Shepherd or a Rottweiler or something like that. We have a little yippy dog doesn't really get it done. You want scary dog. And so even if you've got a little yippy dog, go buy a Great Dane water dish and put it on your porch. Anyway, this video has run considerably longer than I thought it was going to, so I'm going to break it off now. If you guys want a part 2 on like security stuff and how we've done the security measures, even if it's just a small snippet of what we do, then I'd be happy to make that video to help you guys enhance security around your premises. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. Thanks for watching the VSO Gun Channel. Hopefully we'll see you on another video here pretty soon.